You know what? Karku's inspired me. I should do my own Juno yap session. I mean, the thing ends today. I was gonna wait till it to completely be over, but I mean, I'm gonna be done playing today after anyway, so I think it's a good time.
One small step at a time.
All right, Juno's gotten a lot of talk in the last couple days. Actually, to me, the most surprising thing was the amount of people who think Juno's weak. A lot of people think Juno's weak and underpowered, and I'm floored. Mostly because they think like she's boring. And I'm like, well, if you want a powerful support character, like the safe side of strong, like previous, you know, introductions, it's so easy to break, you know. Just up the amount of healing she does per bullet and the amount of damage she does by per bullet by like 1, and then all of a sudden she's gonna be slaying people. She's gonna be able to 1v1 people, and also be able to heal through damage in a lot of ways. But I don't think that's what they should do. If anything, the only thing I think that people have a valid complaint for is the rockets. Maybe the lock-on time. But as I've played more this weekend, the rockets are actually great. You just have to know when to use them. They're not like a turn your brain off ability. The best time to use rockets are either at the very beginning of the fight or towards the end of a fight or on opportunities, right? Like my Rhine got shattered in some of the games we were just playing, some of the viewer games with Karku. And my Rhine gets shattered and their whole team turns the corner and I went like this and got a 9-man, and like I saved 3 people with it because the healing is pretty good. It also threatened a couple people out. I got like 15% ult, got my ult, popped my ult right there because the ult's very strong, and we automatically flipped the fight. And it's kind of like, whoa, like she has tons of impact, but I think the thing that makes them feel weak is there's no bailout button. Bap, you have 2. You have your shift and your E, your lamp. Kira, you have 2. You have the teleport and the Suzu. Ana, I mean, Ana's a little, I'm not calling it a bailout ability, but it kind of is, like the self-nade to heal yourself. Alari doesn't really have one. She has the pylon though, so it's automatic, so you can focus on doing your damage. Weaver, you have your dash and your pedal, even though Weaver's kind of terrible. Mercy, you have your guardian angel. Again, not a bailout ability, but like ways to escape. And I would argue that like it probably falls more in line with the Mercy idea, where it's like you have to rely more on your positioning and your movement, and you get punished for having bad positioning or bad movement. I'm sure there's tons of clips we could go through and look at from the last few days of playing. The amount of times I've managed to save myself in like low situation, I'm like, oh shit, pop that. And then I'm like, oh shit, fly through the ring, double jump up. I kind of did that wrong. I meant to flick it over here onto the high ground. And I'm able to move so fast and then mix in a double jump in between, and my movement's so hard to hit that people struggle, and I can end up surviving or getting a kill. Or it's like, oh shit, and it's like, oh. And then I somehow get back around this corner and like glide up on something, and it's really fun, it's really cool. So it's kind of disappointing that people, you know, don't feel that, or some people don't feel that way. I feel like this is probably the best designed hero in all of Overwatch 2 since Junker Queen. And there's so many things that are strong. Even the ring, like some people don't think the ring is strong. The ring's super strong. You get just the speed right here by shooting it, and then also everybody who touches the ring gets it as well. So you can get speed boosted multiple times on Juno and help your team out as well. And a lot of that utility is super useful, especially when you're in trouble. Like if you haven't popped it yet, early fight, let's say you get pressured by somebody, pop it, and you're like, oh shit, oh, and then, oh, run through it, oh, and then, oh, slide up on this thing, and I'm gone. Like, I'm just instantly at it. I run, and I'm constantly fighting back, and I'm doing good damage. So I love the dynamicness of her movement. But there's one big argument that I think has the most merit, which I disagree with, which is Juno should headshot. I've seen a lot of pros and a lot of like really like talented players argue that Juno should be able to headshot, and I actually disagree. I do not think she should be able to headshot. I think that if Ana came out today, that people would argue Ana could headshot or should headshot, because Ana's whole kit is basically, you know, a slow-moving sniper. You have no mobility. Yeah, you have your sleep and your anti, but like, you know, you're basically revolving around scoping in, shooting shots, or hip firing and shooting shots, and like you should be able to be rewarded for having better mechanical skill. I bet that's what the argument would be. But if you played the Mirror Watch event, you could saw how strong it was with Ana headshots, and it would arguably probably make it pretty difficult to balance, because at high level play, let's be honest, this is what the gameplay would look like if you could headshot. You would have a tank that stands right here like this, and all the good players would just go and it would be miserable. And it would keep the support creep, damage creep going up higher and higher. But by making it so you can't headshot, it's a lot easier to balance while also still being a rewarding burst to hit. So I understand their point, and some people argue that it should be like a 1.1 or a 1.2 multiplier, so it's very, very small. But it's like there's so many things that are packed into this kit already. It's so easy to break this character. Like if you boosted it, like the cooldown on the ring, or if you made the movement on this even faster, or if you got a double jump reset, right? Like let's say, because if you double jump into your glide, you don't get another jump. Ready? I'll show you in a second. But you could give, like, hypothetically, now I have another reset, boom, and jump again. I could go super, super high. And I also have the glide as well, and it would make the movement even harder to hit, which would be another insane, almost like mechanical movement buff, without putting it more into a damage category, which we, I think, arguably all know that we've had some serious damage creep in Overwatch 2. I like where it's at. I think she's super fun. My only complaint for the character is the ultimate. And the ultimate is actually extremely strong, but you don't have good feedback for it. Actually, the damage boost is 35%, which is higher than Mercy's. And the healing is really good as well. I don't know what the healing number is off the top of my head, but you don't get like feedback. You don't get like little tick marks if people are doing damage in it or getting healed by it, or like the audio is not great for like knowing if people are getting healed. That's the other thing, healing teammates like this, it could be a little bit more noticeable, a little bit more apparent, so people know that you're actually healing and doing good heals. It's 100 health per second. That's crazy. That's so good for what it is. I think the feedback could be a little bit better, so players know that they're actually popping off. So, yeah, that's probably my one big complaint for Juno is just like feedback on the ult. But I would argue the thing that actually was the most surprising, I think Juno isn't a good pick with Lucio. I think Lucio Juno actually doesn't do that hot. One, because there's the speed cap, right? And Lucio's base speed boost is 25%, and the ring is 50%. So you get a 50% when you shoot it, and you get a 50% when you go through the ring. Still 50, like you don't get, it doesn't additive. It's like just 50, right? Like this is 50 right now. And then if I jump through the ring, I get like, it resets it at 50 for 3 seconds. The cap is 75. So like Lucio with no amp plus ring is like the speed cap already. But I've actually noticed that having another healing support like your Kiri, Ana, Bap is actually the best play, because we're in a super tank heavy meta right now with like the changes from the last balance patch. So extra heals is nice, and also allows you to go do more damage, you go for more flanks. The only thing that might be frustrating is like if you don't have a support that like keeps an eye out on you and then you're getting like dove or flanked by a tracer or something, you might be in trouble because you don't have the self-heal ability. But I'm okay with that. Characters should have weaknesses. They should have strengths and weaknesses, and there should be ways to play outplaying them, and the outplay potential is in your movement. So I would argue this is probably one of the best heroes they've released in Overwatch 2 and one of the most balanced. However, though, I know for a fact that they're gonna give them a small buff somewhere before launch, so it's safe side of strong. They want players to have a good time on the new hero. But if like after the first 2, 3, 4 weeks of the new hero being out, they're like, okay, now we're gonna put her more in line with the rest of the roster. I think where she's at right now is great. I think this is a fantastic spot to be in, especially as people learn how to play her more. But yeah, I have to express that I'm extremely happy with this hero. This is probably the only support hero that's ever come out that made me consider playing more support, just to learn support and have a good time with this character. I think they cooked really, really hard. I hope they don't go back and make headshots. I hope that they don't really buff her too hard, because I really don't think she needs it. I could see maybe the lock-on acquisition speed, potentially. But I even think the rockets are fine. And I've also heard people argue that the rockets aren't satisfying. Yeah, no shit. If you do this, yeah, that blows. Like, yeah, of course that's not satisfying. Like, if you talk about, when I talk about her kit being satisfying and rewarding, I'm not talking about walking up and hitting one person with a rocket. I'm talking like this. Like, you got like 3, 4, 5 targets. More than that, if you get a game where you get almost the entire lobby in a rocket barrage, even if they don't all hit, like say 6 or 7 out of 9 hit, holy shit, your ult charge goes zoom, and you feel how much impact you had. It's super satisfying to hit all the rockets. and watching them all fly out, it's a great time. So, yeah, super happy with this hero. Super happy with where they're at. And, you know, hopefully they don't get the Venture treatment where they actually end up getting some skins and actually get cosmetics and actually get some love. Although, still feel bad for Venture not getting much. I think they probably will. I think this character's gonna probably end up like Kiri in a lot of ways, if I'm completely honest. Don't really have a whole lot else to say with that. I really enjoy what they've done with this kit, and I hope that more heroes actually end up being like this in the future, because they feel rewarding to play. They feel like they have a really high skill cap. They feel like they have weaknesses and strengths, and also just like their personality is great. Like, I love the welcome to orbit.
Welcome to orbit.
Just scratches something in my brain a little bit. A lot of the interactions are pretty cute. Voice lines, stuff like that. I think it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, like over time as we see more and more interactions, like when she actually releases. But I think she's really cool. I think she's a great character. Arguably the best character they've released in Overwatch 2. Maybe other than Junker Queen. I thought Junker Queen was like mind-blowing at the time. So Junker Queen was probably my #1. Although Juno's probably a very close second. Kiri's up there as well. And actually, I think it's a good point to make a point out to Kiri really quick. I think people, when Kiri first came out, thought Kiri was super cool, and the most broken part of her kit was actually the Suzu and the teleport through walls. Most people didn't really feel that way about her headshots or her kunai. They're like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you gotta hit headshots, so it's super high skill. And I think Juno would end up being the same way. I think people wouldn't think of it as a problem early on, but then as the game progresses and people learn how to play her and people get really, really good at her, that's where it would start to rear its ugly head. And where, you know, they end up having to nerf the kunais, and, you know, even to this day, Kiri still feels like she can dual DPS pretty easily, which is not fair to DPS players. I think support creep has gotten a little bit hard with fighting DPS players, but that's what Overwatch 2 needed, because it's 5v5, so. Although, I guess there's a whole conversation coming up with 6v6 soon, too, anyways, I guess, but yeah, that's not the point. Point is, though, I think this is probably one of the most well-designed characters they've done in a long time, and it is a good homage to, if Ana came out today, they would ask Ana headshot. I think Juno's they cooked with her, and, yeah. It's nice to be able to say for once in a long time that I'm really happy with something Overwatch did. So, yeah, cool.